Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. And of course, on this Monday evening, as we record this Week 6 recap, I'm your host, John June. And that's right, my man G Money is back. Greg Penniman.
Yes, sir.
Good to have you back, brother. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Doing good. Week 6, we talked about before. Had a lot of injuries in this one, but seemed doing good for my personal teams. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about these studs, these people that are going down. But just want to mention that I am in first place in that League of Extraordinary People. Let's go.
That is correct. Greg is in first place because we didn't even talk about our thrilling Monday night matchup, man, where your boy, actually, I think I did mention it on the pod, where I ended up almost catching Greg and giving him a slight heart attack. And that's what I love about Superflex because, if you have two quarterbacks that happen to be going against each other and then that game goes nuts,
absolutely bonkers.
Things can go well, but, I didn't complete the comeback, but just no come playoff time, Greg. I'm coming for you, bro.
I'm here. I'm weird.
If I make it there, but we'll see. Weird things tend to happen in the League of Extraordinary People, especially when you are public enemy number one. But this Week 6 recap, it's almost in the books. Week 6 is Monday Night Football. We'll be kicking off in a few minutes, or in 40 minutes or so. Gotta cover those studs and those Jags, and of course, those top performers is what we mean when we talk about those studs and those Jags, those just the guys going through each position group. And then we will cover news, injuries, and those waivers. Starting with the quarterback position, the QB1 on the week. And I got to say, I was so off on the quarterback position this week. I'm just going to preface that there. And if you were listening, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And if not, then we'll get to it in a little bit. But Kirk Cousins, who I was not into this week. Carolina's defense had been pretty good coming in this game, but apparently not in this one. In overtime, Kirk Cousins, 33 of 48, 373 yards, 3 passing touchdowns to go along with 16 yards rushing on 2 attempts, 28.5 points in a PPR league. Greg, what were your thoughts on Captain Kirk's performance?
Yeah, this is a great bounce back for Captain Kirk. 2 straight weeks where he had only 1 touchdown, had a couple picks, had 1 pick in each of those games. But this is a great bounce back against a Carolina defense that has been solid, definitely against the run, and been holding it down a little bit, except against Dallas. Like to see Kirk Cousins bringing his streaming value back. To hold people down for these next couple of weeks. Got Dallas next week, so that's a great matchup for 6 teams on bye. So we're gonna need some quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I just gave you the people's elbow for you called Kirk Cousins a streaming quarterback, and I will argue he is definitely more than a streaming quarterback.
He is. He's
treated by people as just a streaming quarterback because his name is Kirk Cousins.
He should be over 50, though. He's definitely not under that. But
yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins currently, as we sit here in terms of fantasy points per game, Kirk Cousins sits as the quarterback 10. So, I guess you could say he's right on this streaming.
It's QB1. I'll take that.
It's a QB1 for sure, yeah. Right? No, definitely. So, no, Kirk Cousins has been good. He's been one of the sleeper quarterbacks I had coming into the season. Was he my sleeper? I don't even remember. I think he might have been, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so we'll go with it. We'll roll with it. So, Kirk Cousins, just continuing to, again, he plays in a good offense. I think the concern is Minnesota's defense has actually been playing better outside of the fourth quarter of the Carolina game. But coming into this game, they were only allowing 10 fantasy points, 10.5 fantasy points per game in the last 3 weeks to quarterbacks. And so if that defense is playing better, we know that this offense at its roots really wants to run the football with Dalvin Cook, who is healthy again. And so, we'll get into it a little bit, but, we'll get into it later. But he also had a good performance here. The second quarterback on this list, Dak Prescott, the number 2 quarterback on the week. I'm just noticing a trend here. Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, 2 guys that I was against playing this week. And Dak Prescott, it was about the volume of pass attempts. New England or Dallas has been a team that's been running the football. I didn't think that New England would be able to really compete with Dallas, but they made it a game. Both these quarterbacks went to overtime, and so Dak Prescott completed 51 pass attempts, or he attempted 51 pass attempts, completed 36 of those for 445 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 10 rushing yards. Good for 26.8 points heading into the bye week. So, Greg, actually, both these quarterbacks heading into the bye week. But, Greg, what were your thoughts on this performance here from Dak Prescott?
Oh, man, definitely love this. You always, always love Dak, I think, in any matchup. They got Minnesota next week, so both these quarterbacks should be in a great spot here.
In 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right. Both on a bye next week. But, yeah, 51 pass attempts, you mentioned that. That was the highest he had since week 1, which was 58. Other than that, he only had a high at 32. But, he gets those tutties, though, all the time. He's always going to get those tutties. So, yeah, love it from Dak.
Yeah, again, we'll get into it a little bit later, but it was more about the player I was recommending over the players that are listed here.
Got you.
Again, if you have these guys, you're not going to cut them,
No,
but
absolutely
I said, hey, there's this one guy that if he's out there, you need a quarterback. Go out and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But the number 3 quarterback on the week, Kyler Murray. 20 of 30, 229 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns here. Didn't need to run much. 7 carries on 6 for 6 yards. That was good for 25.8 PPR points in a game where the Cardinals had to play without their head coach in Cliff Kingsbury. So, Greg, what were your thoughts here on the performance by K1?
Oh, yeah. This is K1 primetime. Just doing what he does all the time. Undefeated team. The rushing yards are there. The passing touchdowns are there. He's passing at a very high touchdown rate right now. You love to see it. You love to see what he's doing in this MVP year right now. He's got to be, I think, by early favorite right now for that award.
Yeah, I hate having this conversation in week 7 about who the MVP is because – these guys fluctuate, and it's about who's going to maintain that level of play for the entire season. So Kyler Murray was an early favorite last year, faded down the stretch, mainly due to injury.
Started at 5-1 or 5-0, something like that last year.
They started. They had a decent. I think they started 3-0 last year.
3-0. Okay, got you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they ended up losing. I was talking about it earlier today. That's why. But Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, they're rolling right now. I issued an apology, actually, to the Cardinals when talking about their game going up against Cleveland because I didn't think the Cardinals are going to be, all that good this year, mainly because their defense. But their defense has been – the story is Kyler, but the story should really be this defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Kyler played at this level last year, and they weren't 6-0. The difference was this defense – is superbly improved. The additions that they've made, the draft picks, signing J.J. Watt in free agency, they've all really come to fruition and have allowed, Kyler to go on the other side of the ball, put up as many points as they want. 13 points they've given up, 33, 19, 20, 10, 14.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. In today's NFL, giving up only one game over 20 points so far. That's pretty.
Especially when you're scoring 38, 34, 31, 37, 17, and then
Absolutely.
37. So, I'm again of the frame of mind here that this Arizona defense, which plays Houston this week, I think needs to be probably picked up for. Again, they play Green Bay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they're one of the better fantasy defenses. I want to say they're top 5 fantasy defense right now.
Yep.
Without looking. And I know some of our leagues, we do some of the quirky scoring, which we've talked about it before on the show. But if you're playing fantasy football and you play with a team defense, which, some people have just said, screw the defense. But if you're still doing it, please, 0.5 point tackle for losses and 1 point fourth down stops. Just please. It's very simple change to make, or no, it should be 2 points for a fourth down stop because that's a turnover, right? So if you get a fumble and a reception, that's 2 points. But if you get turnover on downs, that's technically a turnover, so 2 points. So just my thought there. But Greg, rounding out this top 12 of quarterbacks here, Kyler Murray was 3, Matthew Stafford 4, Jalen Hurts 5, Aaron Rodgers 6, Patrick Mahomes 7, Joe Burrow 8. Another guy said I didn't want to play this week. Derek Carr 9, Tua Tagovailoa 10, Teddy Bridgewater 11, and then Tom Brady coming in as the quarterback 12. Greg, what were your thoughts here from this when you look at this top 12?
Like to see Patty in there at that good spot there. Joe Burrow continuously being efficient with these, low passing volume, but putting up some QB2 with some QB1 upside weeks, and Tua with the bounce back week back off, healthy again. That's pretty good. Even though they lost that game, but they got that win for fantasy wise.
Yeah, I mean, Tua was probably one of the things I called Rel was, hey, the Miami quarterback, whoever it is, probably gonna have a good day, but it's probably not hard to do. It's Jacksonville. Patrick Mahomes, I think I expected a bigger day.
Yeah, especially against that.
Going up against Washington, was expecting a much bigger day there.
Yeah,
but finishing as the quarterback 7, yeah. Aaron Rodgers, again, a guy that I was like, hey, let's probably not play this guy this week, coming as the quarterback 6. And, talking about all these guys who I said, hey, let's not play. So let's talk about who I wanted to play over them. And I mean, again, I'll go with the process. The process was sound. The result was just very poor. And it was Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke going up against Washington. Prior to this point, he had only, or Kansas City, sorry, he had plays for Washington, had only had one poor game. That was the New Orleans game, which New Orleans has been pretty good against quarterbacks outside of the game against Daniel Jones. But it just didn't happen. It didn't come to fruition. Wasn't able to get the ball down the field to Terry McLaurin. Ricky Seals-Jones did have a nice game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, it was just a complete whiff and a miss by me on Taylor Heineke. So if it cost you, I'm sorry, but we're on to week 7, and we're going to be better from here on out for sure. Because you can't get worse than Taylor Heineke, apparently. But other Jags on the week here. Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. That game was just completely weird, right? Like
crazy. Holding the Herb to QB 20 or something. Oh my gosh, that's wild. That's just wild.
What did you think of all the fourth down attempts that, I mean, obviously if you were playing Baltimore defense in our league, that would have been turnovers for you, but all the fourth down, going forward on fourth down, the aggressive play calls of Brandon Staley and the Chargers. There was at one point where they went for it.
They were like on the 35 maybe.
I think they were
30.
I think they were on their like own 12-yard line or something ridiculous.
Oh.
Like
yeah, I mean they did do it a lot. I'm always in favor of doing it over not if you're an efficient offense, a good offense like the Chargers are. It was more their mistakes were just timing was off, something was off. I mean, maybe it was the West Coast to East Coast. I mean, I don't know. They seem like their head wasn't in it more. Miss routes, miss timing, all that. It's weird.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. I like the aggressiveness. I like to see coaches go for it, especially when you have a good offense, right? Like, yeah. You should have confidence in your ability to convert those it's 1 yard, right? Like you've been getting 8-9 yards. Like you have to be able to get 1 yard or 2 yards even. But there was a point where they went for it. I think it was like 4th and I don't know. I don't even remember the down and distance, but I think it was definitely longer than like 5 yards. And it was in their own territory, like deep in their own 20 like territory. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was like 4th. Maybe it was on their 20-yard line or something like that. Yeah. But then they turned the ball over, and Baltimore scores, and it's just not a game after that. And the play call was terrible. It's just like you have Austin Eckler, you have Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams, but you throw the ball to Josh Palmer, who's a rookie.
That was That was ridiculous. It was like on a comeback route, like man coverage. He saw, that was bad play call. I don't know
It's
why
like
he would ever go to him.
your fourth string
Yeah.
wide receiver on
Yeah.
their top corner.
Yeah. Wow.
Like,
yeah. Makes no sense.
So that thought to me was a little weird. But anyway, Baker Mayfield, he dealt with an injury. Sam Darnold
he finished the game strong for a way that all started. For him to finish QB 14 or mid QB 2, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think he finished overall as the quarterback 15 on the
15?
week.
Okay.
So yeah, it was yeah, the quarterback 15 with 15.08 points. So 15.1. All right, moving out to the running back position, and guy I spoke very highly about after I spoke about him before the game, but mainly after the game, spoke very highly about this man in Leonard Fournette, man, the running back, 1 on the week, 22 carries, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches for 46 yards. That was good for 30.7 PPR points. Now, Greg, I gave my piece on Leonard Fournette and his performance, but the people haven't heard your thoughts on it, so.
Leonard Fournette, man, he's balling out. That's what I gotta say. Doing what he's got to do in the last couple of weeks. Getting his touchdowns, getting those yardages too. So had 81 in this one. He's getting the volume. Ronald Jones is basically just fizzed out of this offense as far as a running back. That's what we wanted to see. If they're not both going to be good, then we want to see one dominate and get most of the carries in fantasy. And that's what Fournette is getting on a good offense. I'm buying. It's probably a running back people should be buying. Probably be too late now. The price is too high. But yeah, he's got RB1 upside every week because of the touchdowns. He's going to be in the red zone, and yeah, I'm high in RB2 every week for me.
No, man, definitely. I mean, I'm saying, I almost have the same thoughts that you did, except I'm going as far as to say I think he's an RB1, right? When you look at the volume that he's getting, the offense that he plays in, and the quality of the touches that he gets, right? He's getting 6 targets in this game against Philadelphia.
Right.
He is the best thing for them in terms of what Ronald Jones and Giovanni Bernard bring, except he's just the combination of the both of them. And he's more powerful than Ronald Jones, and he's he's probably not as good as a receiver as Giovanni Bernard, but he brings more versatility to that offense, where if one of those guys is on the field, okay, Ronald Jones is probably a run, Giovanni Bernard is probably a pass, whereas Leonard Fournette, it can, you can run a little bit more of a hybrid offense there, which is better for Tom Brady, right? And so, and he seems to be the guy down when they get by the goal line too, so that's always going to be good. So definitely, I think Leonard Fournette is an RB1 going forward. And the RB2 on the week, imagine if you gave him the ball more. Jonathan Taylor, 14 carries, 145 yards. For all the mathematicians at home, that is 10 yards per rush attempt there by Jonathan Taylor. Now, 2 touchdowns, had 2 catches, or 2 targets, 1 catch for 13 yards, 28.8 PPR points. Now, one could argue that they didn't need Jonathan Taylor. They were winning 31-3. The thing I like is that Jonathan Taylor is no longer on the injury report with that knee issue, so I think that's going to be good for him going forward. But Greg, what were your thoughts about a big man, JT?
14 carries. Like, he's doing this 145 yards on 14 carries. I heard 12 of them were in the second half. Like, what are they doing? Like, give this man the ball. It's a 31-3 game. This man should be established. Marlon Mack shouldn't even be on the team. Like, get this man off any of those 5 or 4 carries against any game. Just give them to Jonathan Taylor. Like, get this man up. There's no reason why he should never be. I should be under 15 carries. That's all I gotta say. JT, he's the man. Yo, that's all I gotta say.
I mean, that's actually pretty ridiculous, right? The fact that he had two carries in the first half.
What
right? If 12 of them don't come until the second half, right? I would have to imagine, like, oh, maybe they got a good lead. Maybe it's 21-0. The game was 10-3 in the first half. It's just unforgivable.
Yeah, I don't know what Frank Reich is doing. It makes no sense. No, it literally does.
Maybe
Like,
Jonathan Taylor should complain, right? Because ever since maybe he should just demand a trade. Because ever since Marlon Mack demanded a trade, we've been seeing more Marlon Mack, right?
like why though? Like it doesn't. It's true. Like you're right. Ever since he got demanded the trade, it's like, all right, maybe we should use him. Maybe they're trying to get his value up, but still,
yeah, maybe they're trying to
losing
showcase
games that way.
himself a little bit, but it's not working. No one wants to buy 5 carries.
Marlon Mack has
12 yards.
20 carries this year. Imagine Jonathan Taylor with 20 more carries. Yo, they could be finished RB1 every week.
It would break my projection sheet.
It would. It really would. Like, he's so efficient.
But anyways, feed JT.
This is bigger than Aaron Jones. This is bigger than the free Aaron Jones movement. This is a free JT movement is bigger than this.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like, because at least Aaron Jones are like, oh, well, Jamal Williams is a pretty good back. You know, AJ Dillon could do some things. Like, you're taking carries away from Jonathan Taylor to give them to a 26-year-old running back coming off of a torn Achilles. Okay, I rest my case. Moving on to the RB3 on the week, Joe Mixon, 18 carries, 94 yards, no touchdown, but did add 5 catches on 6 targets for 59 yards and a touchdown, 26.3 PPR points. Greg, what are the thoughts here on Joe Mixon?
You know how I feel about Joe Mixon, man. I love Joe Mixon. I'm always
this year.
A lot. Yeah.
Last
this
year you were very anti-Joe Mixon, right?
And so I saw that volume, you know, and so you see that volume is king. Wasn't getting that volume, and now he is. Every game over 20 touches. So, like, yeah, I mean, in a team that's pretty good this year, like playing well this year. We'll see how they do against Baltimore next week. But Cincinnati, really efficient offense, and they're a run-first team. So you love that.
No, I had to bring that up because I've noticed that you have this love here this year for Joe Mixon, and I was like, where is this coming from? I mean, I get it. It's the volume and everything, but it was all very new, so I've just been adjusting. True. Quietly over here. But rounding out the top 12 here, the RB4 of the week, my start of the week, Darrell Henderson, also tied with Najee Harris for the RB4.
Yes.
So the RB6, Darrell Williams, the RB7, Dalvin Cook, the RB8, Kenyon Drake. If you ask some people, apparently I knew this one was coming, but who knows? The RB9, Aaron Jones, the RB10, Khalil Herbert, the RB11, James Robinson, and then the RB12, J.D. McKissick. Greg, any of these top 12 performances stick out to you?
Definitely love to continuously see Najee Harris in there. Khalil Herbert had a great week. And yeah, Darrell Henderson, I mean, that he's just continuing to ball out every week. He's aboard on our RB1 every week as well.
No, definitely. He is. I mean, me and you were talking about it off air last week. He is the perfect RB2 to have on your team. Like, he's going to get enough volume. He's not going to blow the competition away in terms of points, but he'll be there for a solid 15, 16 PPR points every week just based on volume alone. Saw 21 carries in this one. Also added 29 receiving yards on 2 catches. So Darrell Henderson's balling. Najee Harris just continues to be the engine for the Steelers offense.
Volume, man.
Kind of how someone on this show had kind of talked about just a little bit in the offseason. I don't know. Some guy.
Man. If only Frank Reich would listen to that. Like, just give, JT the ball like Najee Harris gets the ball. I mean,
you know what it is? It's because they didn't draft JT in the first round. Because when you draft in the first round, you have to prove to everybody, like, hey, this guy was worth it. Like, they don't have to prove to us that JT was worth a draft pick.
Najee's leading him in carries and receptions. Like, I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
Najee is the Pittsburgh Steelers offense.
Yes.
Because the Steelers have 2 choices. It's Najee Harris or Big Ben. Najee Harris or Big Ben. I'm pretty sure I would choose Najee Harris 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, and twice on Sunday. So give me Najee Harris.
Yes, sir.
But Khalil Herbert, that's the one. I mean, I think that I know I had talked about him on the lead up to this game. I was expecting him to have a good performance, have a decent amount of volume, finish in the RB1 territory. So that was nice to see. In terms of some honorable mentions here, it was a good week for running backs, I would say. Damian Harris, DeAndre Swift, Alex Collins, Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, all coming through with 15 or more PPR points this week. Greg, any other honorable mentions or anybody stick out from a running back perspective to you positively this week?
Yeah, DeAndre Swift, of course, elite RB seasons continuing. Love to see that. And the Damian Harris and Rodgers Stevenson coming through. Patriots definitely doing well with the running backs. As long as one of those players don't fumble the ball, these two could have some value down the line.
Yeah, and Ramondre Stevenson is the real interesting one to me, because you realize what the ceiling could be for him. And I'm sure we're going to talk about him a little bit later, but you see him, how the Patriots trust him as a receiver in the pass game. There was at one point where they got him isolated on a linebacker with a route down the seam, and they throw him the ball, and you can see it's a nice. He's not, most running backs in that situation, they're not used to catching the ball in that position. They're used to like being in the flat or having their chest exposed to the quarterback. But my man just like over the shoulder, just kind of catches it, and he's a good athlete, man. And then you see him move, and you forget like, oh, he's 250 pounds. Right?
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah.
Like this guy's the size of like LeGarrette Blount, but he's got some serious speed. I know he had a 91-yard run in the preseason that got some people excited. But then again, you see him move around as a receiver, and Ramondre Stevenson is definitely interesting to me, especially how often you see Damian Harris limp off the field.
Yeah, he got that limp off the field. That's how Stevenson came right in, got that touchdown. So if you're a Damian Harris manager, that's definitely a move.
Yeah, definitely. Or just even if you're not, if you just need to again, we talk about this all the time, but the running back position is one of those positions where you just got to say, what happens if Damian Harris gets hurt today or like this weekend? Or, I say this all the time, right? Like I made a trade earlier in the week that I kind of referenced as a joke, but in our league with certain people, I didn't have any room on my bench, and I didn't want to just cut Alex Collins with the Chris Carson news looming. So I traded Alex Collins to the to the Chris Carson manager, and in return I got Kenyon Drake. And somebody asked me, well, why did you trade for Kenyon Drake? And I said, well, you never know like what happens if Josh Jacobs slips, coming out of the shower this morning. Like you never know, like anything could literally happen. And the running back position is one of the, not that I would ever want Josh Jacobs to slip coming out of the shower, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to say anything could happen at the running, like it's not always that way for like a receiver, right? Like if a receiver goes down, there's no guarantee that this one guy is going to take all those opportunities and all those touchdowns. Or like if a quarterback goes down, it's not like you want to attach yourself to that offense anymore. But if a running back goes down, they're going to absorb, even if they're 75 or 80% of what the starter is, you absorb so much value, and that adds so much value to your team. So I think just the probability that could happen is worth having one of these guys on your bench. So that's my little spiel on that. But Greg, some Jags this week, man, and there were a few of them. Austin Eckler was part of that game in Baltimore with the Chargers, where not a lot went down for them offensively. Javonte Williams, that whole Denver, not the whole Denver Broncos team, but it was just a game. I thought Denver would come out and win that game. Raiders, haven't been able to stop the run. Javonte I don't know what's going on there. That's another guy. Talk about don't give him the ball. The dude had 89 yards on 11 touches last week, and that resulted in him seeing the ball 14 times. So a little bit better, but again, like I would like to see this backfield go away from Melvin Gordon, right?
Yeah,
and that's all.
I know it might be one of those situations where it just doesn't.
It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen. Yeah.
I'm coming to terms with it, honestly.
Yeah, because it looks like it's been solid 50-50 every week.
Every week, and even when weeks it's like, it shifts in Javante's favor, goes right back down.
Yep.
So it's like not even like there's a trend to look for or anything.
No, I was gonna say it's not. There's no trend. The trend is 50. That's
50%. That's the average. That's the expectation. And I mean, unfortunately, the only way that it won't be 50% is if we get an injury or something.
Right.
But it's gonna be 50%. The Eagles running backs. I don't even know what to do with those guys.
Yeah, nah. I would think Kenneth Gainwell's a stash, and that's all I can really say at this point.
Bro, but if you couldn't play Kenneth Gainwell on Thursday, when the hell can you play Kenneth Gainwell?
Yeah, but Miles Sanders is basically, hopefully he's like, I don't know, he's close to a drop candidate at this point.
I mean, if Miles Sanders is a drop candidate, then Kenneth Gainwell has to be, because Miles Sanders is at least.
Because I feel like I see light for Gainwell though. I don't see any light for
even in the game where you're like, okay, I started Gainwell on Thursday in a league. I started him over Miles Sanders, and Miles Sanders still got 11 touches on Thursday. Kenneth Gainwell got 1 target or 2 targets.
Yeah,
I'm gonna probably hold on Sanders. I mean, I'm gonna hold on Sanders for sure, but there's no way I could keep Kenneth Gainwell over Miles Sanders. Like if I had both of them, I had to drop one of them. I got to drop Gainwell because at least Sanders is gonna get those rush attempts, which who knows what they're worth these days. So maybe
he ran well last week. I mean,
9 for 56. I mean, he had that one big carry, or I think there was one drive where he had a couple big carries, and that's who Miles Sanders is, right? But like you and I were talking about off air, this offense, do carries exist for the running back in this offense?
They don't run the ball. The carries from Jalen Hurts, direct snaps. He makes plays, and he's usually rushing because he's getting pressured. So it's
definitely tough for sure. I think they're like desperation flexes at this point.
Maybe they'll change the game plan up because they're a losing record right now. They play Vegas next week, so
honestly, if I that was the thing that irked me really bad. Like if I couldn't play Kenneth Gainwell last week, then why is he on my team?
Yeah, that's true.
Right, you're going up against Tampa Bay. It's one of the worst pass defenses. You're expecting the game plan to be throw the ball. They're, a touchdown underdog. Like you would expect this to be the game script in which Kenneth Gainwell gets a ton of targets. Yeah. 3 targets between the 2 running backs. It's just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm overreacting, but
you're not.
Antonio Gibson ends up with an injury. So we're not going to completely kill him there. But Myles Gaskin, I think it was just right back to what are we doing with Myles Gaskin? He's on a bye. Like, is he going to be lasting on your roster through the bye week?
I don't think so. There's like no situation where, when they're behind, they're using Ahmed and they're, using Malcolm Brown. They're so inconsistent with him. But when they were behind against Tampa, they used Myles Gaskin. It's just, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. Miami doesn't know what running back they want to give the carries to, the bulk of the carries. And
you know why?
Why?
Did you know Miami has co-offensive coordinators?
That makes no sense. So they have different opinions every week. Like, I can't have that. I'd rather keep Miles Sanders than Myles Gaskin. Definitely.
Yeah.
At this point. For sure.
At least I don't know, right? Because like with Gaskin last week, that game was a little back and forth nature to it, but Miami led for most of it. Not most of it, but Miami was in the game for the most part. It was a 1-score game. But at least like you knew when they played Tampa, it was like, okay, we're throwing to Myles Gaskin. Like you will be our offense today.
Yeah, but they're not playing Tampa again.
They're not playing Tampa again. I think Jalen Waddle is probably the only safe person in that offense, maybe.
I agree. He's only got 1 game over 10 carries.
It's impossible to trust him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the wide receiver position. And the wide receiver 1 on the week, the man behind me making that spectacular catch in the back of the end zone on the Wall of Fame, C.D. Lamb, my breakout wide receiver, finally had his best game of the season, was quiet since week 2, I believe it was, week 1, or week 2, week 1.
Yeah, no, he had a good last week too. He has touchdown, and
it was okay. It was okay.
That's the Giants game.
Yeah, it was okay. Like one. If you took that touchdown away, he's got like 50 yards.
That's how he's special though. That's what makes him special.
Oh yeah, no. CD's a baller. We noticed 9 catches on 11 targets, 149 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. This was my favorite part.
Yes, sir.
36.1 PPR points. Also added a rush attempt for 2 yards. My favorite part about CD is they put him in the backfield and they give him rush attempts. That's like literally what I was like, oh, this is perfect. But Greg, what were your
huge fourth down too for that? That was on a 4th down actually. Yeah, so I mean 3rd down, but yeah, clutch play by him. CD, you love to see it. 149 yards, man. He's a beast in every way. I mean, this is what we expect from him. Had a little slump. I'm never worried about CD Lamb having off weeks. It's the volatility wide receiver position, and yeah, CD, these blow spots are when you match ups. He's got Minnesota next week. Stop playing. I'm wide receiver 1. 2 weeks every time. 2 weeks.
But yeah, man. I mean, he currently sits here as the wide receiver 12 on the season in PPR points per game. CD Lamb is balling. He is a baller. Absolutely love that guy. So continue to roll him out there. Moving on to the wide receiver 2 on the week, and he's back. It didn't take long, but Cooper Kupp said, "Here, Robert Woods, hold my beer. I'm gonna go be the wide receiver 2 on the week. 12 targets for 9 catches, 130 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns, 34 PPR points." I mean, the Matthew Stafford no-look pass to Cooper Kupp for a touchdown was pretty dope, not going to lie. But, Greg, what were your thoughts here on Cooper Kupp's performance?
Gotta love it. I mean, he's giving you the most value you can ask for from a wide receiver. Where you drafted him, Cooper Kupp was getting drafted around where Robert was drafted, and he's giving you top 3 value at the wide receiver position every week, over 10 targets. Got another 12 today. It's just beautiful to see like that. You just know a guy's going to get over 10 targets every game. It's for certain now. I'm
just so upset that I have
no Cooper Kupp.
No Cooper Kupp. Like literally 0. You and I talked about it, right? Like if I had to pick a Rams receiver, I'm gonna take Cooper Kupp. But I have 0 Cooper Kupp. You know why? Because I got all this Brandon Ayuk, and I don't want to talk about it right now. But moving on to the wide receiver 3 on the week, Adam Thielen, 13 targets, 11 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. Also added 1 rush attempt for 2 yards, 29.8 PPR points on the week. Greg, what are your thoughts on Adam Thielen's performance?
Yeah, my guy, Adam Thielen, doing what he got to do. Good bounce back week for him. Got back in the end zone 2 straight weeks without in the end zone. What is he doing? What is he doing? He's got to get back on pace. So good to see him back in there. You love to see it. Got Dallas in 2 weeks. So yeah, great matchup.
We got it right.
Yes, sir.
There we go. But Adam Thielen, trying to pick up that touchdown pace again. But this time he brought you some yards, though.
Yeah, he did.
This is a little bit different because those touchdowns, they were coming with 40, 50 receiving yards, and I don't really jive with that. But the 126 yards and a tutty, I'll take it.
First 100-yard game for the season for Thielen, so that's great.
See, I'll take it. Moving on to the top 12, and does anybody do 10 catches for 70 yards better than Jalen Waddle? I don't know.
No.
But Jalen Waddle comes in as the wide receiver 4. Donovan Peoples-Jones comes in as the wide receiver 5. If we're talking about values, I think this is the value. And it's Antonio Brown coming in as the wide receiver 6. Cortland Sutton coming as the wide receiver 7. Marvin Jones 8. Tyreek Hill, did you even know you were going to play? Guess not, but it comes in as a wide receiver 9. DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver 10. KJ Osborne, haven't seen you in a while, wide receiver 11. And then AJ Green rounding out this top 12 here. Greg, what were your thoughts here on the top 12 receivers?
Yeah, good to see some names. Cortland Sutton as well. I was always look to see him in the top 12. Hopefully, continue to grow as the Denver's #1 receiver. And yeah, D-Hop did that on like 4 targets, I think. So that's really insane to think about that. And Thomas People-Jones, not named Odell Beckham in wide receiver 1. Like I just it's just when is it gonna happen, man? I'm just waiting.
Well, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins 4 targets, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns though, so that definitely helps. Yeah, Cortland Sutton, it'll be interesting to see what happens when Jerry Jeudy comes back, but Cortland Sutton has taken this mantle as the wide receiver to have the top wide receiver in Denver for sure, but he's definitely proven to be pretty much what I know. I was pounding the drum for Cortland Sutton all year long. I had issues with that ADP, and now I think he is the wide receiver 20. So
he's wide receiver 2.
No, that's exactly where I think he should have been. Right, I think he was going off the board outside the top 30, and I was like, this guy should be in the top 20 for sure. So Cortland Sutton, but yeah, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, to be fair, 2 touchdowns on 4 catches.
No, it's not about getting down.
It's about OBJ. OBJ does make it into the honorable mentions. He did have 5 catches for 79 yards, I believe. Okay. So it's good for a wide receiver 2 finish for OBJ. So I threw him on here just for you. But Henry Ruggs also had himself a decent game here. 3 catches, 97 yards and a touchdown. 3 catches, 97 yards and a touchdown there. Deontay Johnson just continuing to suck up targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brandon Cooks making his return to fantasy goodness, which I think we thought that would happen this week. Darnell Mooney, somebody I know that you've been pounding the drum for. Someone I had actually talked about as maybe being in potential to play this week. Finishes as a top 20 wide receiver as well. And then T.Y. Hilton. I just threw his name down here kind of for fun, but 4 catches, 80 yards, no touchdown. I think it was definitely good to see him returning from that neck injury and making an impact for the Colts, especially when you consider outside of Michael Pittman, they don't really have much going for him.
No, Paris Campbell's injury is significant, so should be. I mean, as long as T.Y. can stay healthy, he had a quad injury pop up at the end of that game. So,
oh man, okay.
But he's definitely, if he stays, that's nothing. I think he's intriguing.
Definitely, and then some Jags on the week. Keenan Allen, somebody I know I was pounding the drum for. I said, hey man, this has got to be a Keenan Allen game, especially Mike Will's banged up. But him and Mike Will both end up on the Jags list. Amon-Ra St. Brown, somebody that I definitely was talking about as someone I'm looking to play. I was talking about how I was dropping Brandon Ayuk for him and how I was playing him over Allen Robinson, which, by the way, that still worked out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Makes me not know how to feel.
Allen Robinson is done, man. That's over. Oh, man. Free my man Allen Robinson.
No, I was talking about Allen Robinson. I had a whole nice little thing about it. It's after this week.
Okay.
Because they play Tampa. If you can't get it done against Tampa.
You're right.
If they can't get
it done against Tampa or Washington, you got to go.
You got to go. So that's there. Speaking of Washington, you made me remember Mecole Hardman was definitely somebody I was pumping up. That did not come through. But let's move. Do you have anybody else for the Jag position, Greg?
No, not really. I still want to buy Keenan Allen though. I need.
Oh, DJ Moore.
Oh, and DJ Moore.
DJ Moore also shows up on this list. Do we even consider throwing DK Metcalf on here? Like, we understand the circumstances.
That's the whole offense is dropping down. When Chris Collinsworth said, I didn't realize how important Russell Wilson was to the offense. I wanted to go crazy. Like, where have you been the last decade? Russell Wilson is everything to this offense. He's everything to this franchise. This man deserves a stake in the team at this point. Like, it's crazy.
Bro, I literally looked at my TV like this. Like, bro, like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. The only one I want like that has some value is Alex Collins, because they're gonna be handing that ball, that thing. DK's still gonna be fine.
Alex Collins popped up with a hip and a glute injury, so
that's true.
That's something to consider. But I think, again, I said it. I think DK is a wide receiver 2.
Yep.
Wide receiver 1 upside, because he is a freak.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And Tyler Lockett is a flex conversation, barely rosterable.
Yeah, I'm holding him till Russell, of course, comes back.
So Russ comes back for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like, again, Russ was only expected to bend his knuckle to 10 degrees, and he bent it to 75 degrees.
Man was out here fake throwing, faking the huddle, like talking to his imaginary teammates, like, yo, he's trying to, this is the guy that you don't think Russ Collinsworth thinks that is not the most valuable to this team. How about this man is, oh man, it's Russ, man.
Yeah, that was so funny. And it's like, Russ really did that. Like, some people will do it like, oh, I know the camera's there, I'm gonna do this. Like, Russ legitimately did that. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like,
no doubt.
Dude missed a game in the NFL for the first time in his life. Missed an NFL game in 10 years.
It's habitual at this point. He has to do that on the Sundays.
He did not know what else to do. So he's just like, I'm gonna put myself through the workout of playing in a game. He went through 2-minute drill, like doing all spike the ball, clock it. I was like, bro, you're nuts.
Yo. Oh,
but
man.
Hey, more power to him, man.
Word.
I respect it even more, but you're nuts, bro.
Oh, man.
And then you got Jamal Adams. I'm the best in the nation.
Oh, man.
Talk about 2 cornballs. All right, moving on. The tight end studs on the week, starting with the number 1 tight end on the week, Noah Fant. 9 catches on 11 targets, 97 yards, and a tutty here. Good for 24.7 PPR points. Greg, what were your thoughts on Noah Fant?
Nah, man, I love it. I mean, this is, I think, my guy for the season, Noah Fant, as far as a tight end. 11 targets. You love to see that number. With Teddy B being back, he's going to get targeted more. Last 2-3 of the weeks, he's got over 10 targets. So as the target share is there, he's definitely in top 5 tight end territory with those numbers.
No, definitely. He's absolutely been balling there, Noah Fant. And, they talked about it on the broadcast how he wanted to make more big plays. He usually averages 11 yards per reception. Had been, I think, at 8 this year. In this game, he was up over 10.5, up almost 10.8. So definitely like to see that from Noah Fant. The tight end 2 on the week. Look at this. Another my guy. This time it's my guy in Mike Gesicki. 9 targets, 8 catches, 115 receiving yards. Ooh. No touchdowns. Ends up the tight end 2, 19.5 PPR points. That is like some Travis Kelsey type stuff right there from Mr. Mike Gesicki. Greg, what were your thoughts on Gesicki's performance, man?
Definitely loving it because it's with Tua. That's like the biggest fact, I think, that he had a great game with Tua.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, 9 targets. Again, 70% of the snaps. He's getting snaps have been up the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, you love to see he's entering that low-tier tight end 1 territory. I think he's in that territory now.
Yeah, I mean, after a game where he had 9 targets through the first 2 weeks, and like you mentioned, Tua was at quarterback in that first game where he had only 3 targets, was barely playing any snaps, has played 60+% of the snaps, and every week played, the last 2 weeks has played 74% of the snaps on average. And so, again, if you came in, because again, like you said, there was this frame of thinking where you're in the back of your mind, you're nervous, like, was this all because of Jacoby Brissett? But Mike Gesicki is continuing to see the targets. He's continuing to be utilized in this offense. And he's an athlete, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he like the 8 for 115, like he can do that, and that's part of the reason why I was high on him last year. Part of the reason why I'm high on him this year. The tight end 8 on the season in terms of total points. Mike Gesicki has been a value.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is Noah Fant, who's the tight end 6.
Nice.
But the tight end 3 on the week, Travis Kelsey, 11 targets, 8 catches, 99 yards, 17.9 PPR points there for Mr. Kelsey. Greg, what were your thoughts on the performance here from Travis Kelsey?
Yep. I mean, this is why you drafted him in that first round. Hoping that, Darren Waller could also get you some of these weeks. Yeah, but Travis Kelsey doing what he's got to do. That's just my expectation for him every week.
Definitely, man. And rounding out this top 12 here, Mark Andrews, the tight end 4, OJ Howard, the tight end 5, Ricky Seals-Jones, my tight end star of the week, coming in at 6. TJ Hawkinson, welcome back, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good to have you back, man. The tight end 7, Zach Ertz, who played this game for Philadelphia, but will now play next week for Arizona. Be mindful of that. Tight end 8, Dalton Schultz, also tied for the tight end 8. Pat Freiermuth had 7 targets.
That dynasty.
That is interesting. Dynasty, I'm talking about today. But Pat Freiermuth, the tight end 10. Jared Cook, the tight end 11. And then Durham Smythe tied with Darren Waller to finish as the tight end 12. So, Greg, any of these top 12 tight end performances stick out to you?
Nothing too crazy except, of course, you gotta love Hawkinson being in there. Hopefully you guys were buying him in those weeks where he was down, because Detroit is always going to be down. So you know that this guy's going to get close to 10 targets a game, and it's Swift and him, and we just got to keep accepting that, and just know that it's going to be these guys dominating.
Yeah, Hawkinson had been he'd been running the same amount of routes, he'd been playing the same amount of snaps, and he was seeing decent target share, but just wasn't. He actually wasn't seeing a ton of targets in that time. But you have to wonder, he was on the injury report with a knee injury for this entire time, and this was the first time he went into the game without an injury designation. So it makes you wonder, had he been dealing with some kind of injury, and was that the reason why he wasn't getting targets? Because he was still, again, playing the same amount of snaps, running the same amount of routes, probably just wasn't getting open.
Yeah.
Right. His knee was probably limiting him in that way. So definitely good to see him be healthy. Dolan Schultz definitely sticks out to me because that's a trend that's continued.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
He's continued he's a tight end 3 on the season.
I mean, he's best value tight end. Talk about that value. Yeah. I mean, even when Gallup comes back, I think he still has value. I think, with the situation there, Dak always loves to throw to the tight end. I mean, the Cowboys as a team, since they just historically love tight ends, they want to get them involved. No,
definitely, man. All right. Well, not many Jags on the week. I will throw out one or two, but Evan Ingram, I thought that would be a decent spot for him. Did not necessarily come through there. Dan Arnold, my tight end stream of the week, that did not come through. I think that was it. Anybody for you, Greg?
Yeah, not too many. Yeah.
So in terms of injuries, Alex Collins is dealing with a hip and a glute injury. Pete Carroll, guess what Pete Carroll said, Greg?
Oh, he's going to be back next week.
Yeah, he's optimistic that he'll play and that it won't be able to be fine. So probably assume that he'll be put on IR like tomorrow. That's a joke. We'll see what happens with Alex Collins, but just monitor that situation. Remember, Rashad Penny, I believe, was activated off IR. So
yeah, he said he was coming back. I think, yeah, definitely this week. Yeah.
So if Alex Collins can't go, then expect some kind of
DJ Dallas,
Travis
Rashad Penny, yeah, something I don't want.
led by Geno Smith, quarterback. Probably something I really don't want to attach myself to, especially when they play New Orleans on Monday Night Football. So
after bye, yeah, chomp
no,
after. No, I don't want that.
if it's Alex Collins, I'll play him though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Other injury news. Antonio Gibson, he basically sat out the rest of the game with a shin injury, which led to J.D. McKissic seeing most of the work there. Granted, they were down, so it makes you wonder about the usage potentially of Jarrett Patterson, who's a rookie, and what that could mean for him going forward. So definitely something to monitor. Kareem Hunt was placed on injured reserve with a calf injury. So Nick Chubb missed this game with a calf injury. Kareem Hunt came into this game with a knee injury and a wrist injury, but ends up leaving with a calf, was placed on injured reserve. So seems like Nick Chubb could potentially have this backfield to himself, but we'll have to see if he can even play on Thursday in their upcoming game. But Baker Mayfield also dealing with an injury, but this to his non-throwing shoulder, which he says that he will play. He's not going to let it be an issue for him. And I believe they do play Denver. So
Thursday night, yeah.
On Thursday night. So definitely, again, something to monitor there. Case Keenum is the backup there for Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. Now, before we move on to waivers, just to remind you, this is a specific reminder for Greg. I'm just kidding. But the bye weeks are here, Greg. Week 7, the Buffalo Bills, the Dallas Cowboys, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Minnesota Vikings, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Los Angeles Chargers are all on bye, which means it's going to be great for us next week because our shows get a little bit shorter. I'm not gonna lie. I love being on here with y'all, but sometimes it's nice to have some time back. But anyways, Greg, let's talk about these waivers, man. What's up? Starting at the let's go running back first.
So running back, you talked about the Cleveland Browns situation. If both Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are going to be both out, Dearness Johnson's going to be the top guy for getting all those early down work, with Dimitri Felton probably getting most of the pass catching work. But for a team that runs the ball a lot on Thursday night, going against Denver, who, they probably want to be able to put up some points. They want to still establish the run. So I got Dearness Johnson on the list. He's a 3% rostered, especially if you are the managers of Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. After that, J.D. McKissic, he's 42% rostered. They got Green Bay next week. It's crazy how his season's been. He's been in an even week trend. He's like weeks 1, 3, and 5. He's got all under 3 points. But in weeks 2, 4, and 6, he's averaging 12.7 points in FanDuel scoring. Matchup against Green Bay again. Washington should be behind. AG also a little banged up, so J.D. McKissic will probably get a lot of pass catching work again. Raj Stevenson, 11% rostered, going against the Jets next week. Both Damian Harris and Raj Stevenson are in a good position. They should be favored. They should be up, but especially if Damian Harris is a little banged up. Raj Stevenson got 8 touches in week 6. We'll have some pass catching work. Brandon Bolden's kind of like been fizzed out the offense, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that. I definitely would look at Jarrett Patterson as well too if you are looking for running back help. He probably who does Washington play this week? You said
Green Bay.
Green Bay. Okay, so Green Bay does give it up a little bit on the ground. So Jarrett Patterson probably will get some of that early down work for the Washington football team. So just be mindful of that. But Greg, moving on to the wide receiver position, what do we got there? Any speculative ads there that we should be making?
Always banging the drum on my guy Tim Patrick. Bye weeks are here, so you need these bye week fillers. He's 35% roster. They got Cleveland next week, who's been pretty. The defense has been, compared to last year, has been horrible. 3 receptions. And
they're supposed to be better this year, which is crazy.
It's crazy. Got you a touch this week. He produces solid wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 numbers every week. Should be still involved until Judy is out. Since week 4, he's got at least 6 targets, so he's definitely a great bye week filler. T.Y. Hilton, he's 39% rostered. The injury risk is always there, but if he's fine, Campbell has got that foot injury, and so it's going to be just Hilton and Pittman. So I think targets will definitely be there. Hunter Renfro again, still under that 50% mark. Every week's with 5 receptions. I know the down week was this week, but they got Philly next week. I like the matchup there. And Darnell Mooney, 44% rostered against Tampa Bay.
I was shaking my head at the less than 40% roster part. Of
50%. Yeah, he's 47 right now. Yeah, Hunter Renfro, I have him. So yeah, that just shows this guy's, is there for PPR leagues. That's a solid wide receiver 4 right there.
Yeah, no, Hunter Renfro has been helping me out. I have him on my Scott Fishbowl team, so he's definitely been helping me there. Greg, tight end.
Tight ends. Ricky Seals-Jones, man. I mean, 29% rostered until Logan Thomas comes back. He's the guy. I mean, he had 4 receptions, 58 yards, and a touch, had 6 targets, so he's getting a decent target share. He's been a great filler for Logan Thomas so far. He's running a lot of routes and getting targeted on the routes he's getting. So it's nice for him. And I'm gonna go with Jordan Akins going against Arizona. Again, if you need a tight end, he's been involved a little bit more over Darren Fells in this offense. So got Arizona this week. They'll be behind. Houston's always going to be behind. So besides Brandon Cooks getting all the targets, Jordan Akins could get some.
Okay, and what about quarterback?
And quarterbacks, we got 3. Tua, he's got Atlanta next week. It's more about, I like this matchup a lot for Tua. 17% rostered. Dolphins have been passing the ball a lot more this year. That 40.5 attempts per game.
Bye.
The Dolphins on bye next week as well.
Yeah, did I not mention them? But they're definitely on bye because they played in London.
Oh, got it. So really, because
how are they not on this list?
No, I don't think they're on bye. Yeah.
What? Are they not on bye?
No, they took a late bye. I know it's crazy because you should, if you come from London, you should probably have a bye.
Oh, you're right. The Dolphins are not on bye. I just assumed that they were because the London team all get a bye.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked by it too. But yeah, I'll go with Tua, passing the ball more. Teddy Bridgewater going against Cleveland. Again, mentioned that Cleveland defense being really bad. 20% rostered. Last 2 weeks, they're getting the passing attempts up, 43.5 pass attempts per game in the last 2 weeks. So you love that for a Denver offense that usually is more run Henry. And Carson Wentz, first of all, as mentioned, Carson Wentz only 1 interception this year. Pretty impressive for Carson Wentz. You'd like to see that. And 35% rostered going against San Fran. San Fran's defense just been okay, but a more competitive game script. And you know what Indy can do probably in more competitive games with that Baltimore game.
There we go. Yeah, so Greg, who is, I guess, for you the top player that you want on waivers ahead of this week?
If I'm in a PPR league, I definitely want like a JD McKissick. With all the bye weeks, I know there's gonna be a lot of running backs that I'm gonna need. Trend wise, it's an odd week, so he probably won't he not probably won't do well. He's not looking like he would do well, but I think with the matchup and given they'll be behind with AG being banged up, he should get 5 receptions or more.
Yeah, I'll also add the Baltimore Ravens running backs to that list as well because Latavius Murray did end up getting banged up. Devontae Freeman saw nine carries in that game. Also added some receptions. Le'Veon Bell, I know he scored a touchdown, but he didn't really.
It's just
get much yardage.
It's just tough to call who's going to be the guy they decide to just give it Lamar all the carries.
Yeah, I mean, if you're desperate for a running back help, which it's hard out there, especially you got 6 teams on bye this week.
Bro. Yeah, it's rough.
It's rough for sure. So. Again, if you're just looking for an RB2 that's in line, you get a touchdown here. These Ravens guys playing a good offense. There's one less running back to add these touches. But hey, who knows? Because they'll just add Tyson Williams back into the mix.
Oh man.
So, I think I would look definitely there. If I am the Nick Chubb manager, I think I would just go get D'Ernest Johnson just to make sure I cover myself. Because I would rather play Nick Chubb. I would want to play Nick Chubb for sure, but if I can't, then I'll play. It's tough to tell, right? Because this game was not a game, right? 37. It was 37-14, but it was not a game. And so Kareem Hunt got hurt in the second half, and D'Ernest Johnson only ends up with like one rush attempt after that. So was he really even gonna, do they want him to be the guy? It's a question. I don't think that they would ask Demetric Felton to do that, to be that guy, or be a back, like a 3-down
Yeah,
back.
he's been pass catching all year. I mean, they might as well make him a wide receiver at this point. So, like, crazy.
No, I'm pretty sure he was a running back. He was a running back in college, went to the Senior Bowl as a receiver, went to the Combine as a receiver. Was it the other way around? Was he like a wide receiver when he's running back? Either way, I think he was like coming in as a wide receiver, and then the Browns have made him this like dual threat weapon type thing. So just curious to see what happens with that. But I think, again, like agreed, he's probably going to be on the probably the third down back as opposed to just an early down guy. I don't know. It's pretty slim pickings on the waiver wire this week. There's not really much. I think it would be, again, those receivers. Khalil Herbert, if he's available, I would go. Yeah, I would go add him
for sure.
I can't think of anybody else that I would want to add. I mean, if you're feeling froggy, Brandon Ayuk is probably out there. I mean, just throw it out there. I'm just saying.
If Judy's out there, go get him because he could be coming back soon.
Yeah, definitely. If Judy was dropped in your league, go definitely add him for sure. All right, but I think that's it.
Yep.
I think that is literally it. So, everyone, we appreciate y'all. Appreciate the time. Appreciate you listening. Make sure you are subscribed to the show. Make sure you're following Greg on Twitter at @gmoney_truth. Follow him on Instagram at @we_made_it. Follow me at JR Football Nerd. Follow the show at FF Diagnostics. And subscribe to I said to subscribe, but make sure you subscribe and put the notification bells on, especially for YouTube and whatnot, so you can get to see our lovely faces. You can see I'm rolling without the hat today, so you could just see the studio and see CD Lamb on the wall, right? All these different things, or who knows? Maybe you've never seen Greg and you want to see what it looks like. And some people might say he looks like young Kendrick Lamar, but I don't know. Only the hair. But without further ado, we're gonna close the show. We'll see y'all next time when we are breaking down Thursday Night Football as the Denver Broncos take on the Cleveland Browns. And with that one, we are out of here. Peace.
Yeah.